was what Govindamar said when he was here in Sokel in 2004 on this day. September 25th it was, but here for us it's September 7th. He says, today is very auspicious day. It is the appearance day of Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu, who is the protector of our Sampradaya and a great Acharya. Srila Guru Maharaj said, Jivad Yar Abhirakshitam. Our whole Sampradaya with so much wealth came from Jiva Goswami Prabhu. Rupa Sanatan gave so much, and Jiva Goswami protected them from the other schools of religion like Shankaracharya and the atheist Kapila's Shankya philosophy. They wanted to establish Nirakar, Nirvisesh, Brahman impersonalism, non-variegatedness, but Jiva Goswami very authentically and wisely defeated them. He established the Chintya Beta Beta Siddhanta of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is a little long, so let me see if I can just summarize it. Talks about where Jiva Goswami was born in Bakla Chandra Dweep, and he's the son of Anupama. Anupama is the youngest brother of Rupa and Sanatan. And then Jiva Goswami is the son of Anupama, and therefore he's Rupa and Sanatan's nephew. So before Jiva Goswami went to join with, he never married. He always wanted to join with Rupa and Sanatan. So first, when he was young, he went to Navadip, and there he met with Nityananda Prabhu. And Nityananda Prabhu took Jiva Goswami around all of Navadip Dham. He was a parikrama. In fact, that's what we always read on Navadip Dham parikrama. We read from Sri Navadip Dham Mahatmya by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and that tells about Nityananda Prabhu showing the whole Dham to Jiva Goswami. So that's really the first parikrama that was like done, and that's what Jiva Goswami. Then after that, Jiva Goswami went to join Rupa and Sanatan, but before he joined them, he went to Varanasi, which is Banaras or Kashi. And there he studied, he became educated, because he knew that when he got to Vrindavan, he'd have no time for study, that he would be doing service, but he wanted to. Jiva Goswami is very intelligent and very good at presenting Vaishnava literature. So first he studied for maybe 5 years in Varanasi. Then he went to Vrindavan. And he took Diksha mantram from Rupa Goswami. And he's always serving Rupa Goswami. And Jiva Goswami established the Radha Damodar temple. And when Rupa Goswami was old, he stayed at that Radha Damodar temple, and Jiva Goswami took care of him. And that's where Rupa Goswami has his Bhajan Kutir and also he has his Bhajan Kutir and his Samadhi are there in the Radha Damodar temple. And Govinda Maharaj got property that touches that Radha Damodar temple. He was called by Krishna Ballabha from Vrindavan, called him that some land had been in litigation, had been in legal difficulty for so many years, but now that land could be gotten by, and Krishna Ballabha wanted Govinda Maharaj to have that land for the mutt. But Govinda Maharaj said, I don't have any money. And Krishna Ballabha said, I will I will put the money. We can arrange that later. You just, and Govindamar said, I can't go. He said, just send someone. So Govindamar sent Purnananda. And then that land was got. And that's where we have our temple now of Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Rasa Bihariju. So that land is actually, you could say, is part of, it's touching or it's part of the land that was Jiva Goswami's land in Radha Damodar. So Jiva Goswami was very strong, very educated, and very expert in Sanskrit and scripture. And he helped to make the Sat Sandarbhas, super authentic scripture in Mahaprabhu Sampradaya. But that is Jiva Goswami's main principle. He made that. And then there was an incident that once had happened at Vallabha Bhatta. He found some fault in one of the verses of Rupa Goswami and he wanted to correct it. But then Jiva Goswami was thinking the verses of Rupa Goswami, they're perfect. They don't have to be corrected. And he looked at the verse and saw that the verse was correct. So then Jiva Goswami went to Vallabha Bhatta and explained to him why that verse didn't have to be changed, and he defeated Vallabha Bhatta. But then Vallabha Bhatta told Rupa Goswami that I told you before you had to correct this verse, but then your disciple Jiva Goswami came and he corrected me and showed me that I was wrong, and so then Rupa Goswami became angry with Jiva Goswami because he corrected that Vallabha Bhatta. And Rupa Goswami said, he is like your guru. Why you went to correct him? This type of mentality cannot stay with me. You get out from my kunja. Go back to your father's house. Bakla Chandradri, go back. So then Jiva Goswami Rupa Goswami didn't like that he corrected Vallabha Bhatta. And then Jiva Goswami went to maybe somewhere, Vamshivat or somewhere. He sat under a tree and he was not even eating water, not eating food or water. And at that time, maybe Vamshivat under a tree, Jiva Goswami Prabhu was writing one book, Sri Gopal Champu. Sri Gopal was his good friend, and Sri Gopal was addicted with Sakya Ras and Krishna Leela. So Jiva Goswami had said, I shall keep within our form your Sakya Ras, and I shall write one book for you, for your happiness. Jiva Goswami remembered that, and he wrote Gopal Champu. In the meantime, Sanatana Goswami met with Jiva Goswami and saw that he was doing praya upavesham, not taking even water, and wanted to leave his body. So Sanatana Goswami went to Rupa Goswami and asked, Rupa, what are Mahaprabhu's teachings? Can you say? Rupa Goswami said, yes. Jiva doya name ruche Vaishnava sevan. Service to the Vaishnavas and Jiva doya means being kind to the Jiva souls and giving them Krishna consciousness. And Namaruchi means taking the holy name. Take Harinam always. That is service. Mahaprabhu's teaching us this. Then Sanatana Goswami said, you told Jiva doya, being kind to the Jiva souls. But Jiva is leaving his body. It is not good what you have done. Do not throw Jiva out. He is a good boy. Then Rupa Goswami went to Jiva Goswami and said, Jiva, you come back. He gave full service to him, not only full service, but service charge, everything. And Jiva Goswami's Avirbhav is today. That means his appearance day. And he defeated Mayavad, Sakyavad, Buddhavad, whatever Vad was there, all he defeated, and he established the Chintya Veda Veda Tattva through the Sat Sandarbha. Many books Jiva Goswami composed, like Harinam Amrita Vyakaran, grammar book, which is all based on the holy name. Ratnavali, where are you? No sound.
Good to see you, Maharaj. I'm in London, at Mum's place.
And you had some program for your mother, or what is, tell us, what is that?
After Mum passed away, about 3 weeks ago, we had nice kirtan at her funeral, and then we had a program in the house after her cremation, and all the devotees came, and it was really lovely. And then we had another kind of like a Shraddha program where devotees came, and then we had a kind of, on Lalita Saptami, we had a nice feast at our West London Mart for like Vaishnav Seva festival.
Okay, very nice. What is your mother's full name?
Sandhya Rani Ganguly. Sandhya Rani Ganguly.
Sandhya. Oh, Sandhya rather.
Sandhya Rani.
Sandhya Rani
Ganguly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. My dandavats in memory of your mother.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. So Govinda Maharaj mentioned that he especially likes the book by Jiva Goswami, grammar book, which is called Harinamamrita Vyakaran. But that whole book, all the grammar rules and everything are given only utilizing Krishna Nam. All that Sanskrit grammar is unique. We cannot concede that the grammar of every word indicates Krishna. Grammar is grammar, but he made grammar in Krishna consciousness. It is inconceivable, but every name is inside the grammar, every matter, always built by Krishna consciousness. So Govinda Maharaj very much like that. Harinamamrita Vyakaran. And Govinda Maharaj learned from that. He said he studied with Dol Govinda Shastri, was his teacher. And he studied that Harinam Vyakaran. Then Jiva Goswami, I'm just saying in a gist way. To establish the Vaishnava Sampradaya, we had Baladev Vidyabhushan wrote the 4 different bhashyas on the Vedanta Sutra, Gita, maybe Vishnu Sahasranam, and I don't know. There's different explanations given, and they're called the Govinda Bhashya because that was all written with the blessings of the deity of Rupa Goswami, that is Govinda Dev. And Jiva Goswami, he wrote his different Sat Sandarbhas, and that became inspiration also for Baladev Vidyabhushan, so for to write that. And then let's see. After reading those Sat Sandarbhas, Baladev Vidyabhushan made the pranam mantra for Jiva Goswami there at the start of the Govinda Bhasha. Yasankhya Pankena Kutarka Pamshuna Vibartaka Artena Chalupta Diditim Staram Vyabadak Sudaya Maheshwaram Krishnam Sajiva Prabhu Rastu Megatim. This is the pranam mantra for Jiva Goswami. He's the super protector of our sampradaya from other disturbances. Then I bow down to his lotus feet. This way he wrote, he established Krishna, who is Parameshvara, Satchidananda Vigraha, who is Anadi, who is Adir, whose name is Govinda, who is the cause of all causes. What was written in Brahma Samhita was established in this world by Jiva Goswami. So some just short summary of Jiva Goswami. And today is also Vamana Dev's Avirbhav. You know Vamana Dev, he appeared to teach Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj started a big fire sacrifice and there were so many big personalities. If he was successful, then he would defeat everyone and permanently conquer the heavens and other places. So why that's important is Bali Maharaj is in the line of the demons. Prahlad Maharaj was his grandfather. And then I forget Prahlad Maharaj's son. Can't remember, my memory failing me. His son, Prahlad Maharaj's son, was in the demon line again. Then Bali Maharaj, I believe Prahlad Maharaj is his grandfather, but he's the leader of the demons because he's in that Asura line. And under Bali Maharaj, the demons were defeating all the devas, and he was doing a big fire yajna, and he has his guru is Shukracharya. Shukracharya is the guru of the demons, and they're doing a big fire yajna to establish, to make it so that the demons will be super strong and able to defeat all the devas very easily. So the devas, they're all very frightened of this big fire sacrifice. So then Vamana Dev appeared. He appears as the son of Aditi, therefore he's known as Aditi Nandan. Saraswati, you know this name, Aditi Nandan, it's the name of Vamana Dev. You know that Aditi Nandan name, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
I recognize that name.
Yeah, okay. So that's the son of Aditi and Vamana Dev, that all the many Lord's appearance coming from Aditi. The devas coming from, anyway, what is it? Aditi Nandan. And then Vamana Dev went to the fire yajna to that big sacrifice of Bali Maharaj, and he went there. He's appearing as a Brahmin dwarf. He's very, very beautiful features, but small. He's very small, like a dwarf. But when he went there as a brahmachari, Brahmin dwarf, and then Bali Maharaj wanted to satisfy that Vamana Dev. He said, Vamana Dev said, I wish to ask you for one benediction. And then Bali Maharaj said, yes, you tell me. He said, I want some land. I want some land. I want 3 steps of land. And then Bali Maharaj said, yes, I will give you 3 steps of land, no problem. And then then Shukracharya told him, wait a minute, don't be foolish. This is Vishnu in disguise. And if you give him this promise, he'll take everything away from you. And as your patron, as your Guru, that won't be good for me either, that you lose everything. So he said, don't do that promise. And Bali Maharaj said, no, I promised him I will give. So then they're going to, then there's some part of the ceremony to complete that promise, that the Bali Maharaj will pour some water from a kamandalu. And kamandalu has a spout. So Shukracharya, he's master of everything. He could also he knew Anima City, he had Anima City. He entered into the spout of that kamandalu and he's blocking it so that Bali Maharaj can't pour water out to confirm his promise. So then Bali Maharaj says, this kamandalu, the water's not coming out. And then Vamana Dev said, here, give that to me, I can fix it. So then he gave that spout, he gave that kamandalu to Vamana Dev, and Vamana Dev took a piece of kusha grass and stuck it into the spout and poked out one of Shukracharya's eyes. He poked it out. Then Shukracharya comes out of there, the kamandalu, and then they make the promise and pour the water, and then we all know then Vamana Dev Vamana Dev then said, now I can put my feet on the lamb. Which lamb will you give? Whether on this earth or not, anywhere you can take. Bali Maharaj said, anywhere, you take what you want, he says. And then Vamana Dev said, I want Swarga, Marcha, and Patala. The heavens, material world, and the underground worlds, Patala. Then he expanded himself as Urukrama, and his steps are covering all of Swarga, Marcha, and Patala. But he did that with 2 steps. Then he said, where can I put my 3rd step? And then Vamana Dev then took all this land, and then he told, then Vamana Dev said, now give some dakshin. And then Bali Maharaj responded, what dakshin I will give? I have nothing. The Svarga, Marcha, Patala already I have given you. Then Vamana Dev said, you bow down and I'll put my foot on your head. He gave blessings to Bali Maharaj and told him, I am very happy with you. Go to Patala Loka and stay there. Do not stay here in Swarga Loka. I have selected Patala Loka for you. Go and stay there. Then Bali Maharaj said, okay, as your order I shall do. Vamana Dev said, I am very happy with you. You take some boon from me. And Bali Maharaj said, if you are satisfied and very happy with me, then you stay as my doorkeeper in that place in Patala, the abode you selected for me. Then forever you will be there. Vamana Dev accepted. So today is Vamana Dev's Avirbhav, Vamana Dvarasi. And Govinda Maharaj said, every time this is a very critical type of Dvarasi, because sometimes Vishnu Shrinkala yoga is happening. And at that time, Ekadasi is going down and Vishnu Shrinkala. So it's Vishnu Shrinkala yoga is a very important astrological calculation for our calculation of the Vaishnava titis. I know with Govinda Maharaj, Vishnu Shrinkala yoga was very, very important, but I don't know anybody who can calculate Vishnu Shrinkala yoga correctly. And even the Vaishnava, we can't use ISKCON's calendar because it's based on a bit different Panchika, not the same Panchika that we use in the Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat. And if you use their calculator, G-Cal, V-Cal, about 40% of the Ekadasis are wrong calculating with that. You get better results. As I said one before, there's one place, what is that place? one place on the net that even has better calculation, but that is called, what is the name of that? Drik Panchang, a Hindu site. They can calculate a little bit, but I think maybe Dundee Maharaj will do that. Anyway, I'm not so concerned. So then here, now we have some questions. Questions. Can you tell us about Lord Vamanadev and how Bali Maharaj is considered one of the 12 Mahajans, although he was a demon? How does he represent Atmani Vedana? I don't know. Let's see. And why is he called the Diti Nanda? Why? Okay. Anyway, can you tell us about Lord Vamanadev and how Bali Maharaj is considered one of the 12 Mahajans, although he was a demon? Because Shukracharya wanted him to follow his interpretation, and Bali Maharaj rejected that, and he established himself as, he surrendered himself fully to Vamanadev, and he accepted what Vamanadev will ask him. He surrendered everything, and that means, what do we call it when somebody surrenders everything? We call it Atmani Vedana, right? Surrender everything, mind, body, words, everything in the service of the Lord. And Mahajan, there are 12 Mahajans. So Bali Maharaj established himself as a Mahajan. The question is, how does he, Vamanadev, and how Bali Maharaj is considered one of the 12 Mahajans, although he was a demon? Well, so was Prahlad Maharaj. They're both in the same family. Prahlad Maharaj, who was his father? Hiranyakashipu. Is Hiranyakashipu a demon? Of course. What would you say if Prahlad Maharaj had been named Hiranyakashipu Jr.? So they're Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj in the line of the demons, but they are devotees. They are Mahajans. We're not interested in hereditary titles. Can you tell us why Jiva Goswami is considered as the protector of Lord Chaitanya Sampradaya? Jiva Goswami wrote so much literature, and he wrote literature to establish and protect our Sampradaya. So what can I say? Anyway, anyone else have any questions? These are questions from about Vamanadev. I just gave a class on Vamanadev down in the temple.
Yeah, we have 2 more questions, extra questions.
Okay.
This is from Karuna Sundari. How to stop expectations from others?
How to stop expectations from others? Oh, who is there? This boy.
Amal Krishna.
Amal Krishna.
He's excited.
Hello, Amal Krishna.
Oh, no. He's pressing the mic.
He's a very pretty boy.
Yeah, he's excited.
So how can we stop expectations from others?
Yeah. Yes, Maharaj.
I remember when I went to, where was it? I think I was in Holland. No, where was I? There was one Mayavadi sannyasi there. Actually, he came to see Prabhupada in the hospital when Prabhupada had a heart attack. I think his name was Satchidananda. He was a Mayavadi sannyasi. And I remember he said, if you don't want disappointment, then don't make appointment. I thought that was a good answer. Good way of saying it. He said, if you don't want disappointment, don't make appointment. If you want to stop depending on others and feel hurt when they don't fulfill your expectations, then don't expect things from other people. I don't know. As soon as you start taking service from other people, you become indebted. Now, if they want to do something and they want to help, that's very nice. And that is the nature of Vaishnava devotees. They're very kind-hearted and they want to serve and everything like that. But I don't know how to stop expectations from others. I mean, don't depend on other people. I remember from the very beginning when I was with Srila Prabhupada, then something happened. Prabhupada said, "Why is your shirt dirty?" I said, "It came back from this way from the laundry." And then Prabhupada said, "Chastise me." And he said, do not do like this. Do not depend on other people to do something that you should do yourself. Then if you do it yourself and somebody wants to help you and they're very qualified and sincere and everything, and you want to take help from that person and that the person can serve nicely, that's very nice. But I don't know. Sometimes we have high expectations, but those expectations are not necessarily the standard of other people. So then if you have high expectations and they do something, but they don't fulfill your expectations, then you may feel a little defeated, a little bit disturbed. That happens all the time. We have to become, like as Govinda Maharaj said, Trinadapi Sunichena. Humility, we have to have humility, offer respect to others, and have tolerance. Then we can give up. Then we will not feel, but I'm not good for offering advice like this. Sometimes they depend on other people and I'm feeling upset when they don't fulfill their promise or something. But just in general, it's something I learned a long time ago. Don't depend on other people. Now, I don't know if this is the right advice because some of us were trying to raise a family, maintain a temple, and we have to depend on other people. But maybe Karuna Sundari, maybe she can explain what she means when she said we should not, what can we do to not, when people don't meet with our expectations? What do you mean?
Maharaj, I mean like any kind of expectation, like if you want to do something or you want anything, do you know what I mean? Any kind of expectation that you would think from other people.
Well,
in general, yeah.
Well, maybe we should in general be a little more realistic. I mean, if it's for the service of the Lord and we have expectations that somebody's going to help us for the service of the Lord, then of course we maybe feel a little bit upset when they don't, when people are not living up to their expectations. I have experienced this all the time, you know, in a temple. And Govinda Maharaj also expressed this, and he said, during the time of Guru Maharaj, I could be an autocrat. That is, he could say something and his whatever he wanted, that was, people had to fulfill that. But he said, after Guru Maharaj left, then I had to live in a democracy. And living in a democracy is very difficult. When you have an autocracy, you can give the orders and everybody will fulfill those orders. But when you're living in a democracy, one person, one vote, everything like this, then you have to become more humble. You have to become more tolerant. It is more difficult. So, I mean, I have lived my whole life with devotees. Now, more than 50 some years, I have lived with the devotees. So I have come to, I understand how things work. That doesn't mean I'm not disappointed sometimes, but you cannot, you're not the controller of the environment. So you'll have to just live with it. Somebody helps you, then you can be very, very appreciative. Oh, thank you so much for your help. And if somebody doesn't help you, or somebody doesn't do what they say they're going to do, you'll just have to tolerate that. What do you want me to say? What kind of an answer are you looking for?
No, that's fine, Maharaj. I just wanted to know what you think about that, like how to deal with that, or how to be.
I remember one time we were very successful when I was in Mexico, and we had an incense business. And the people that we paid, they did very nicely, except who were devotees. The people of outside help that we employed did the service very nicely, and the devotees did the service very badly. Every devotee who was employed did the service very badly. And then later I needed a lawyer. So one devotee was a lawyer, and if I offered to pay him, he didn't want to take any pay. But he was very irresponsible with doing that work, and he didn't do it very well. But I have one lawyer who was not a devotee. His name was Daniel Lavardini, and I had to pay him, but he did the work very nicely. So I came to understand that the people who weren't devotees, who I had to pay for doing service or doing something, they did it very nicely. And when I had to depend on the devotees, it didn't work out very well. Now, why is that? Why is that? Oh, I can't answer that question. That's a question I'm asking myself, but why is that? Just so, and I believe it's because, the devotees, they're very eager to serve and very eager to help. And whether they can actually do that or not, sometimes they're not qualified. But still, I would much rather be with the devotees than be with the outside persons. I would, because I know the devotees may not always do what I'm expecting of them, but they're my friends. They're my God brothers. They're there for the service of Gurudev. They may not do the service perfectly. They may do so many things wrong, but they're still everything for me. Everything for me. They're the person who we will live and die with them. And outside people may be very enthusiastic to do something, just like, there's so many examples. For instance, what was his name? The demon who was, what was the name of that person who used to play with other children, but he used to kill the other children when he was playing with them? And he became king, but all the Brahmins were very unsatisfied with him. What is that person's name? Do you remember?
Maharaj, is that King Vena?
King Vena, yes, King Vena. But when he was the leader, all the thieves and all so many problems that they have with thieves and other things. All those thieves and everyone disappeared. They no longer disturbed anything. So in that sense, you could say, oh, he was perfect because he kept the law and order. We always hear about law and order. Yes, he kept law and order. And the Bhagavatam says, because he was like a big snake. And when there's a big snake, all the little rodents and mice and rats disappear. They run away. They don't stay. So when Vena was the king, there was no problem so much with crime and all these things because everybody knew he is a snake. They didn't want to get in trouble with him. They knew he'd killed him instantly. So you could, but would we want to be under King Vena? No, of course not. He's not. He hated the devotees. He said, when the devotees tried to correct him, he said, why are you always talking to me about Vishnu? I am Vishnu. I'm more than Vishnu. You don't have to talk to me about Vishnu. I don't want to hear about him. So yeah, all these mundane people, they may, if you pay them enough money, they may work very hard. And if you pay the devotees, they may not do so well. Why? Because in one sense, you can say the devotees are not really interested so much in money anyway. But you're paying them something, but they have to do something, has to be ready by 3 o'clock, but then they have a chance to preach to somebody for 2 hours and they will do that instead of what they're supposed to do. Because they're more enthusiastic for preaching than for doing what they're supposed to do. And all the time this is happening, but still, this is our life. We're going on with this. Then if we can find somebody who can fulfill our expectations, that's very nice. But don't depend on it. You'll always be disappointed. You'll always be disappointed. Oh, I thought I could depend on this person. Well, maybe that's your mistake. You thought you could depend on that person. But we have a saying in Spanish, mejor solo que mal acompañado. Now, I'm not going to give a translation of that. But the gist is, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Does that seem too cynical? What do you think? Rasaraj, is that too cynical?
Oh, Maharaj, I think it's a good answer.
Is what?
It's a good answer.
Okay. Anyway. Tomorrow we have Bhakti Vinod Thakur's Divine Appearance Day, correct? And are you going to do a program in London in the morning or in the evening?
Because we are very few here, we probably read something in the morning.
Okay.
And it's a weekday, so devotees will be working.
Okay. So which are the strong days?
What do you mean, Maharaj?
Well, you said it's a weekday. So what are the strong days?
A strong day will be Saturday, Maharaj.
Strong day will be Saturday. And Madhusudan Maharaj, tomorrow he's going to Latvia. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Does he leave in the morning or in the evening?
He's leaving in the afternoon, late afternoon, 7 p.m.
Oh, then maybe he could talk to the devotees about Bhakti Vinod Thakur tomorrow.
Yes, he will be in the East London Temple in the morning, so he will be doing a class from there.
Okay. All right, very nice. Any other question? I know maybe I didn't answer.
There is another question, Maharaj. Another one. It says here, in terms of preaching, how do we approach people that have no interest in higher beliefs or not even interested in a spiritual way of life? Is that right? Yeah.
How do we approach people who what?
Who have no interest in higher beliefs or not interested in a spiritual way of life? How do we approach them? How do we get them interested, basically? Right?
Yeah. Well, if you have a jewel, it is multifaceted. It means it has many different planes, and the beauty, the effulgence, the brilliance of the jewel can reflect from different angles of vision, right? Because it's cut multifaceted. It's a jewel. That's the nature of jewels. They can reflect light from many different angles. Krishna consciousness is like that. It's not, somebody may have no interest in higher, higher, what we might call higher aspects of religion or philosophy, etc. But they may have interest in something else which also is encompassed within devotional service. Sometimes people appreciate Krishna consciousness because they see, in many ways, there's so many things they can see that the devotees are presenting some proper vision of, of morality or of how to, or of nice standards of having a family, like, and the devotees, actually, they have there's many different levels of appreciation for devotees. And we have people that appreciate the devotees are, very active and honest on different levels, like a social level, a communal level, etc. So many things. They appreciate that. I mean, when the devotees are going out and they're approaching other people, they can tell about many of the things that the devotees are doing that are very constructive, very helpful in the society. I can give one example. Before the pandemic, for over 30 some years, we were holding a Christmas party in Beach Flats, which is a part of Santa Cruz, which is a poor part of Santa Cruz. Many immigrants there, especially Latin persons. And we would approach the Marines. They had a program called Toys for Tots. And they would give us thousands of dollars of very valuable toys and presents, which we would distribute to the poor during the time of Christmas time. Of course, and we would have Santa Claus. Some devotee would be dressed as Santa Claus. Some devotees would be dressed as elves. We would serve a meal to the people. At first, we would make a big meal, like it would be like lasagna or special Spanish Mexican meals or something. But then we saw the people weren't so interested in that because they're eating that in their own houses, especially during the Christmas time anyway. So they don't need that. But then we would serve them things like, like specialty things like nachos with cheese and cupcakes and nice tasting punches or apple juice and many different things like corn, corn on the cob, and then the people would come just for eating some snacks, and then Santa Claus would come and give out very valuable presents. And one time we even had a Marine officer came to see the program because they're giving the toys, and he was very happy. And we had people waiting in line, maybe 150 people to see Santa Claus. And we did that every year for about over 30 years, I think it was. And people liked that. And people who had no interest in Krishna consciousness, they would volunteer to help us and do things like that. And who are we? We're not Christians. We don't. Sometimes devotees would have Christmas trees, but generally speaking, devotees didn't have Christmas trees. They weren't. But, we could do that. And we were very responsible in the community every year for 30 years. We didn't miss a year. And we would, and in Navadip, so many people would come to depend on us on the Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mott. When there were floods, they would all come live in the Mott because there was nowhere else to live. And they would live on the second or third floor of the guest houses and everything. And the devotees, they have them there, and they give them prasadam when they were staying there and everything. So, there's so many ways in which you can win somebody's heart. You don't just win their heart because they're interested in higher conceptions of spirituality. Many of the people take initiation, they're not approaching from that angle. Sometimes, even though we have our rules and regulations, sometimes the people are not even really strictly speaking vegetarians. But they're committed. They're committed on one level or another to be devotees because they like this. You don't have to interest people necessarily. What happens if somebody, what is the question? They have no interest in what? Higher realization. So maybe there is another level on which to interest them. I mean, what was the attraction of many devotees? Maybe many devotees were, when I joined, and I'm sure afterwards also, many devotees were interested in something of spiritual life, but they were also very attracted by the prasadam. The prasadam was very attractive to them because people don't cook that way every day in their house, but they do cook that way every day in the temples because they're cooking for the Lord. So therefore, we have a higher standard than most people will have in their house. Because every day they'll be cooking something good. Now I'm old, so I'm not so much, looking for that because, but in the beginning, I was very interested in the prasadam. Then I was very interested in the kirtans and the dancing in kirtans. So and then what was it that Prabhupada said? He said, chant Krishna Nam and take prasadam and be, So if you were chanting and you were taking Krishna prasadam, you were happy. You weren't necessarily absorbed on some high level of spiritual realization. So I think I think that we should not assume that we have to approach people to win them over intellectually or to win them over philosophically. Many times, if you just approach people and you're nice to them and you talk to them and they find that here there's something I like, then sometimes you can give them an introductory book and they'll read the book and they'll think, oh, this is very nice. I like this. I don't know. I said a jewel is multifaceted. So many people don't join the devotees for different reasons. And what's it mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, there's 4 kinds of persons that join. Those who are, what is it? One person joins because they're inquisitive. One person joins because they're materially disturbed, you know. And then one person joins because they're in search of the absolute truth. And then someone joins, let's see.
Because they are suffering.
Because they are suffering, right? Somebody is looking for some material betterment. That's one kind of person. He sees, oh, the devotees, you know, by being a devotee, some of his material anxieties are taken care of. Another person suffering. So why is it somebody suffering? Because one of the things I remember it's saying is that one person takes shelter of the Lord because he understands that there is no other shelter in this world. And another person takes shelter of the Lord because he's lost what he thought was his previous shelter. You could say, well, aren't they the same? No, they're not exactly the same. Someone previously thought something else was his shelter. We have the example of Govinda Kaviraj, who was the follower of Ma Kali. And then he actually wanted from Kali Ma something involving real eternal spiritual life. And she told him, that's not my province. My province is if you have some material desire, I can help fulfill that. But if you want these things, then you go to Govinda. Anyway, that Govinda Kaviraj. So he lost his previous shelter. His previous shelter was Kali. And then later, when he saw that she could not satisfy him in what he was looking, then she advised him, you take shelter of Govinda. So sometimes somebody loses their previous shelter, and somebody also comes to us because they realize they have no other shelter in this material world. So both may appear to be the same, but they're not. Whatever you depended on before, you understand that that will not give you any kind of shelter in this world. Anyway, you don't have to think, how can we approach somebody who is not interested in higher spirituality or higher religion or higher philosophy or any of these things? Many of the people I've seen in Bengal, many of the people who are there and eager to take shelter, they're not necessarily on the highest plane of spiritual realization or anything like that, but they have faith in the idea of Gurudev and the idea of the devotees, and they take shelter. They don't necessarily have some high expectations or think that this is the answer to all their problems. That they're just by nature, they're inclined to take shelter. Anyway, I think you can understand the way I'm trying to answer that question. I'm trying to say that it doesn't have to always be that you have to have the most cogent and well thought out presentation to approach other people. Maybe that's what you're thinking is necessary, but other people are not of that. They're not of that nature. They're not expecting that kind of an approach. As Govinda Maharaj said, people are looking for love, charm, beauty, affection, mercy. They want something. They want these qualities. They're attracted by these qualities. If they see that the devotees are very good-hearted, as they are, devotees are by nature good-hearted. If they see that persons are good-hearted, they will be attracted to them. You say to them, we're going out today. We're going on Harinam. You want to come with us? They'll go with you. They don't have to be looking for the absolute truth. They'll go on Harinam with you and they'll chant and dance and they'll be happy. And then they can come back to the temple. And then maybe you read something from the Chaitanya Charitamrita and they'll listen. They'll say, oh, that's very nice. And little by little, they'll become attracted. And then you'll find that they'll become devotees. Why? I don't know. You can think that somebody's not interested in this, and then they may surprise you further on that they do become interested and they do take initiation. It's not always as you would conceive it to be. Not everything is according to your criteria. So I'm not really concerned. I'm not really concerned about how to, and if somebody apparently can't be approached, you make some intent, you try. And if they're not satisfied with it, then you go on to somebody else. There are plenty of people to talk to.
Maharaj.
I was in Venezuela and some minister was there and this person, I mean, she was a Marxist. She was a Marxist. She was interested in communist philosophy. And I told her about thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. And she said to me, that's Marxist philosophy. I said, no, that's actually Hegel. And I said, Guru Maharaj was talking about this, Srila Guru Maharaj, as Hegel philosophy and relating it to actual spirituality. And that woman, she was a Marxist, but she actually took initiation from Govinda Maharaj. So, anyway, I'm not going to go so long today. It's been...
Maharaj, I just wanted to say one thing that we see that here in the temple all the time is what you were saying. When we promoted the cooking classes, which Ratnavali was doing, and we posted that online, one person was very interested and he came to the classes and then he found out that this is a temple and everything. And eventually he took initiation, Dhruvananda. And then also with this prasadam distribution has attracted so many people. They are very interested in this particular project of prasadam distribution. And we have so many volunteers that come just for that. And when we don't do it, they don't come. So we keep doing it. And then sometimes, oh, we're doing a kirtan. Okay, I will come along. And slowly, they're coming more and more. And that's a way to attract them.
Yeah, see.
So it does something. So Ratnavali, more cooking classes, please.
Okay. So how was your festival? You had that program in London for the festival time. What was it at the time of the prior, actually it was prior to Janmashtami.
The anniversary festival, yes. It was really nice. We prepared a nice marquee outside in the patio with lots of decorations and a big tulasi, and many people came, around 80, 100 people. So we had 22 preparations offered on that day. It was really busy, and yeah, it was very beautiful. Nice, beautiful kirtan by led by Dayanidhi Prabhu. I managed to get him here the day before, so he was here for Mongol Aarti that morning, and that was amazing. I was
Yeah.
surprised. He came at the door just a few minutes before Aarti time at 6 o'clock in the morning.
You know, one thing we also had success with in Mexico was plays and carnival. We had like a program for children in the park, and then they had handmade, puppets. They had one, the Kalia serpent. The Kalia serpent, the Kalia serpent was big, and they had children coming up to have their picture taken with the Kalia serpent and everything. And it was nice, really nice. So many ways to approach people. A carnival was very nice, children's carnival.
A very interesting idea.
Yeah. Puppet shows, and programs in the park, drama, if you call it drama, plays in the park. Anyway, so my dandavats to all of you.
Dandavat pranams, Maharaj.
Dandavats. So sometime this calendar is a little bit busy now coming up. We have not so many things coming up, but I got a lot of. I would like to come to London, but I don't have an opportunity right now to come.
Well, I'm really waiting for you to give me some dates, Maharaj.
Okay, you give me some dates when is a good time.
It's always a good time.
Okay.
But you told me that you want to go to Ireland, Madrid, Italy as well. But then in that way, you need to be here for at least 2 months.
Ooh. Not possible. But
otherwise, the trip to Ireland and then Italy and then Madrid, then it takes all the time, and then we won't have you here for so long.
Was okay. How was it? Madhusudan Mars was just in Ireland. That was good, huh?
Subhasini Didi.
Yes, Maharaj, it was wonderful. Yeah, it's
Okay.
10 days he was here, and
Did
few
you go?
days-
Did you go to Limerick?
Yes, I did. Yeah. We had he was here for 3 days here in Wexford, and then we went to Limerick, and we had very nice programs there. I was there for a couple of days, and I returned back. But there, some initiations happened, and then with the fire yajna and everything. So it was
You had a
grand.
fire yajna?
Yes, yeah,
Where?
in Limerick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, two people, Jadu Gopal and Gadadhar Pandit Das, they had this second initiation.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Very
And
nice.
Devashish Prabhu was also there, so he conducted, and quite a few people came. Madhurananda from Italy, he was here also, and
You know where I was like, it happened some time back where I was really happy was in Bengal. When I was in Tarakeshwar, I was very happy there. Of course, I'm not acclimated, so to speak, to living in India because of so many factors, But it was wonderful. It was really nice. It was so nice. I'm thinking that will be very good to be able to go back again to India soon, then go to England and Spain, Ireland. Yes.
Yes, Maharaj. When you come to England, please come here too. Yeah.
Yeah, go through in India and Ireland, coming or going from India. Go through England or Ireland, going to India.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. You have no questions today, Falguni. You're all just knitting.
The last question was for Gunis, actually.
What was that lady who used to knit near the guillotines? There was one lady who was knitting in France during the French Revolution.
Unless you're going to be in India by the Kartik festival.
Huh?
You're going to be in India by the, for Kartik festival.
I can't go during Kartik. Already Hashapriya is leaving on the 7th of October to go to India, and both of us can't go at the same time. So I don't think I can go at the same time as him, and he's going during the Kartik. So I'll go in another time. Besides, maybe at Kartik time, there's not enough flu and COVID. It's not interesting. We have now what we call super Sukriti spreader. We call them super Sukriti spreader events. Super Sukriti spreader events. We're doing that. That's our new program. They have super spreader events, mundane people, but we add Sukriti, super Sukriti spreader events. So what was the question of Falguni?
The last question was about how to what was it? I can't remember now.
How would I know how to knit a beanie?
The expectations. No. Sorry, not expectations. The what was it? Let's see. I'm looking for it.
How to approach people to be interested.
Yeah, that one.
Aquí la tenemos.
We already had that. How to approach people to be in. How what?
How to approach people from preaching that have no interest. So you already.
We already answered that. We already talked about that question. And
Yeah.
besides that, we're doing that all the time. Why do people ask me to do that? How to do that when they're doing that every day of their life?
You answered the question very nicely. It's nice to hear from you.
Yeah, as Srila Guru Maharaj used to say when the devotees would ask him questions like that, he said, "Isn't it a little late for that question?" You're already doing that your whole life, and then you're asking. I thought you had it figured out already. And besides this question, how to interest people who don't have any interest in Krishna consciousness? And I would say, you mean your family? Do you mean your family?
No, I mean people that I work with, people that I meet around.
You mean like
they are so embedded in their daily life that they never have time to think about these things, or they always suffer and then they wonder why. And then when you try to explain something about it, sometimes it's a bit empty for them. But I really like your answer, Maharaj, and thank you for that.
And when what else you can say when they don't show any interest? You could say, you have a bad attitude. You have a bad temperature. Oh, I was trying to think of Vaishnav Maharaj's joke. He would imitate an Italian. Anyway, next week we will delve more deeply into the mysteries of how to interest non-interested people. Some of the people are so disinterested that they're even asleep. So how do you preach to a sleeping person? Huh? They're so disinterested they fell asleep.
What is the name of the devotee Maharaj who have a whip? I like him.
Where is that Pitambar? Pitambar.
¿Dónde vas, Gurudev? Ay, prendo la cámara.
Where are you?
Fui a llevar la mamá de Dotamana a casa de su hermana. Entonces estoy por ahí.
All right.
Muy bien. Barbón. ¿Dónde vas, Gurudev?
You're not from London. What are you doing here?
Bueno, me mandaron una invitación.
All right. Dandavad. Dandavad. I will call you in a few minutes.
Okay.
Dandavad.
¿Dónde vas, Gurudev?
Dandavad.
Dandavad, Maharaj, Dandavad.
Dandavad.
Jai Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj.
Dhanwad, Maharaj.
Dandavad. Dandavad.
Dandavad.
See you next week.
Dandavad. Srila Jiva Goswami Avirbhav Mahotsav Ki Jai.
Bye.
Srila Vamana Dwadasi Ki Jai.
Bye.
And tomorrow Bhakti Vinod Thakur Avirbhav Mahotsav Ki Jai.
Bye.
And Friday, Haridas Thakur's disappearance day, Tirubhav also. So anyway, nice holidays coming up. Jai Srila Govinda Maharaj, Jai Srila Acharya Maharaj, Jai all the assembled devotees, Jai all the London, Jai, I can say now, Jai all the Eastern and Western London devotees, Ki Jai.
Yeah.
Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari.
Janardan Maharaj ki
Jai.